All right, I would like to bring this meeting to order, please, at 4:35. Roll call.
All right. Mr. Barber?
Here.
Mr. Blackstock?
Present.
Mr. Farmer?
Here.
Mr. Scares?
Here.
Mr. Warren?
Present.
Dr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Present. Item number 3, any items to be added to the agenda? All right, hearing none. Number 4, approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion? And a
Mr.
second?
Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Mr. Warren made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Please cast your vote. All right. All votes have been cast. I'm going to end the vote.
Unanimous. For the citizens' convenience, all work session and committee meetings are now being recorded and can be viewed on the same YouTube location as the Board of Supervisors business meetings. Please remember that the board's work session is designed for internal board and county staff communication, discussion, and work. It is not a question and answer session with the audience. Accordingly, during the work session, no questions or comments from the audience will be entertained. Respectfully, any outburst or disorderly conduct from the audience will not be tolerated and may result in the offending person's removal from the work session. And as a reminder, all county citizens and other appropriate parties designated by the board's bylaws are permitted to make comments under the hearing of citizens sections of tonight's business meeting. So number 5, we come to presentations. VDOT road closings, update, and recovery efforts from typical Storm Michael discussion. Mr. Sides.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as everybody here is, I'm sure, well aware, the county suffered great damage from the tropical storm Michael, and we were contacted by Kenneth Martin with VDOT and his assistant Jay Craddock with the VDOT office, and they were willing to come and give us an update and a briefing on the damage and impacts to the county and progress they're making on fixing that. So, with your permission, I'll turn it over to Mr. Craddock.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. We've been getting a whole lot of phone calls, and I'm sure you all have as well. So we thought it'd be a good idea to come in and get everybody up to speed on what we have going on. One of the biggest complaints we've been getting is people see these roads closed, and it appears that nothing's being done. They're just sitting there idle. But it's really a whole lot of work going on behind the scenes to get things ready, and I think things are going to break loose here in a few more weeks, and people will see some progress. But on your handouts, there's a list of all the roads that are still closed in Pittsylvania County as a result of the storm damage. And the third page just shows the overview map of Pittsylvania County and where the closed roads are located. You'll see that most of them are clustered in the southeast corner of the county. So some of you don't even have any roads in your area that are closed. But
just for the sake of clarification, you'll notice they number. If that's not a prioritization, that was simply identify a number with a place on the map.
yeah, that was just random.
It was random. It doesn't have anything to do with priority.
But the first one on the list is up in Mount Airy's area, 618 Farmer Road. And that's one that we have to replace existing. And most of these, by the way, what we're putting back is not exactly what was there before. We're upgrading. So we're replacing a single barrel pipe with a double barrel pipe in this case, and we're estimating that will be done in late spring of 2019. Of course, we couldn't really pin it down to an exact date because this type of work is so weather dependent, but we feel like these dates we're giving you are pretty conservative, so if we're lucky and get good weather, we should complete these earlier than the date. Number 2 on the list is 822 Beverly Heights Road. That's another one that's kind of off by itself, just to the west of Chatham. And that one is actually a bridge structure culvert. When we refer to something as a bridge structure, it doesn't necessarily mean it's actually a bridge. It just means it's got an opening more than 39 square feet. So some of our larger pipes and culverts are actually classified under the bridge department.
And one of the things we've been telling people as they made inquiries is some of these things were undersized and they've been in the ground for 50, 60 years. And I guess our hydraulics wasn't as good back then. So now we're looking at them and we're getting them properly sized. Sometimes they go up and that makes them become one of our bridge structures, not just a pipe. And once it becomes a bridge structure, it has to be designed. And I know people get impatient, but we've been telling people individually as they talk to us to keep in mind the expected life of any of these bridge structures, whether it's a box culvert or a bridge, is 75 to 100 years. So we want to make sure we get it done right. And we have to take the time to do the legwork and hoping to do that for the better part of the century.
All right, the next one on the list, Route 730 Wilkerson Road. I know that's one that we've gotten a lot of calls about. That one, the contractor has actually already mobilized to the site and begun work. And we're going to replace the existing pipe with a larger 60-inch pipe, and we're expecting late winter of 2019, hopefully sooner on that one. Route 732 Ferguson Road. That one is on a very low volume road, less than 50 vehicles a day. So on that one, we are going to put out an invitation for bids to replace the existing pipe, and we'll be more than tripling the size of that one. We're going to replace it with a 6-foot by 12-foot precast concrete box culvert. And like I said, we'll be putting out an invitation for bids on that one to hopefully get the most cost-effective option. The same thing on the next one, Route 825, Dr. Edward Williams Road. That's a gravel road, less than 50 vehicles a day. And haven't really heard any complaints out of those two. As a matter of fact, I've heard a couple people say they wish we'd leave it closed. Route 29 northbound on the Danville Expressway, we've got traffic right now detouring through Danville, but here in the next few days we should have two-way traffic on the southbound lane. They're working on building temporary crossovers now, and they're just doing the finishing touches. So traffic flow should be relatively unrestricted here by the end of the week on that one.
On that one too, I would just like to mention that the city of Danville has been exceptional to work with on this, and they've been extremely helpful to us, and they've had to accommodate that additional traffic. And we want to be out of Danville as much as they want us out of Danville. So hopefully in the next few days we'll be able to make that transition and be able to deactivate the detour through the city.
Once the detour is deactivated, we're looking at late spring before the entire project is complete.
And that is kind of, again, assuming some good weather, which we hadn't had. We probably would have had 2 weeks behind on it now because of weather.
Right. Route 58, the westbound lanes are closed at Sandy Creek in between Danville and the Halifax County line. That one is similar to Route 29, where there's minimal impact to traffic because we got everybody shifted over into the eastbound lane. But before we get that westbound bridge repaired and back open, it'll be spring of 2019.
And again, on that one, our neighbors to the south, they've really been cooperative. We've had to go into North Carolina 3 times. One was a pipe just on the Halifax side that used the same detour twice for this bridge, and they've been very cooperative, and really appreciate that as well.
See, the next one, we're at 655 Tom Folk Road. This is the one, it's actually the very road that the Ringo Volunteer Fire Department is on. So this is their #1 priority, and it is ours too. The contract, we did this one under an emergency force account, which enables us to bypass all of the normal processes we have to go through when procuring a contractor to do a construction project. And basically, we pick the contractor and we pay them for their labor plus a markup, their materials plus a markup, and their equipment rate at the Blue Book rate. So DLB is the contractor. They've already begun mobilizing their equipment to the site, but at this point, it's not a whole lot they can do until the actual box culvert is delivered, and that's scheduled to be delivered, because they have to build these things custom. They're not sitting on a lot somewhere. So it's being built, fabricated, and the precast company is going to deliver it to the site the first week in February. And so DLB is going to move to the site the last week in January and get everything ready. So when it does rise, they can go ahead and set it. So we've got on here late spring, early summer, but we're hoping it's going to be much quicker than that. Route 656, Turner's Church Road. This is another one we're doing under emergency force account. White's Construction is doing that one, and we're waiting on power lines to be moved on that one because they're going to need a crane to set the precast box culvert, and also waiting on the box culvert to be fabricated. Route 660, Alderson Road. That one wasn't necessarily a major structure. It was just a gravel road that was pretty much wiped out. I mean, the ditch lines were waist deep, and it just really tore up that road. At this point, we basically got it repaired, just a few more minor repairs to make, but the local traffic is going ahead and driving around the barricades and using it anyway. And this is not a road that is going to be used by anybody other than local traffic. So that one is not too far off. Route 912 Buckhorn Road is right adjacent to 660 Alderson Road. They tee together right in this area where the storm hit really hard. And on 912 it washed out a major structure that was on the place with a 10-foot to 8-foot precast box culvert. Again, that work's being done by White's Construction on an emergency force account. And White's Construction, by the way, if y'all don't know them, they're a local contractor. They're located right in the heart of this area, right there on 58 near Sandy Creek.
They've actually done some work on the 29 job as a subcontractor.
So they are a local company. And again, on that one, the shop drawings have been submitted for the box, and we're just waiting on the box to be fabricated. So once they get the box on hand, we're thinking the summer of 2019. Route 723 Old Quarry Road. This is another one that we're about tripling the size of the pipe that was in there. We're going to replace a 60-inch pipe with a 12-foot by 12-foot precast box culvert. Contractor, Crossroads Construction, out of Hillsville, somewhere out near Hillsville anyway. And they're working on an emergency force account. And again, they've mobilized to the site, but they're waiting on the box culvert to be fabricated.
And that is one we've had a lot of requests to try to get done a little bit faster, and people not understanding that we are upsizing that. We're going from a pipe to a box culvert.
729 Kentuck Road, that one was something to see if you didn't happen to see it when it happened. But there was sand like 5 feet deep just covering up the road, and debris just covering the bridge. But Burley Construction is working out under our ordinary bridge maintenance contract to remove the debris and repair the abutments where they were washed out. And they've gotten the debris removal is complete. They just have to repair the abutments at this point where they were washed out and undermined. So we're thinking late spring for that one. And this is the big one. You've probably heard a lot about Route 730 Countryside Drive. On this one, the entire bridge needs to be replaced. It's just been undermined to the point we just need a new structure, and it already had some issues. And our bridge engineer said that what really worries them about it is the way that the stream channel itself has lowered itself over the years. In other words, when they built the bridge, the bed of the creek was a lot higher than it is now, and so there's not as much support for the bridge now that it's been undermined today. But anyway, the design for a brand new bridge is being performed by AECOM. It's a design consultant. But we're pursuing the placement of a temporary bridge. They call them a maybe bridge. If you want to go on the internet and look it up, it's M-A-B-E-Y. But we're trying to trying to install a maybe bridge on the downstream side of the existing bridge, and then leave it in place, through the duration of the construction of the new bridge. So not only would it open up the road now to traffic, but it would also make construction of the new bridge much easier, because they wouldn't have to, run a detour. They could keep traffic on the temporary bridge while they build a new bridge. So that's really a win-win situation.
Did the Navy bridge name come by the state or federal government? That'd be a government.
I guess it's a military thing,
Yeah, it's
actually.
military.
Yes, the military uses them in different places, but I've never seen one put down, so I'm gonna make sure I go out there to see it when they put it down, but it's some kind of a telescoping deal, so they can pull up on one side and stretch it across.
I served in the Navy, I hope they didn't do that.
This bridge was actually used in Halifax, I heard, 10 years ago when we built a new Bass River Bridge on 360. If anybody was out that way there 10 years ago, you probably crossed this very bridge. So they take it up and reuse it in different places. So that's the plan on that, to try to, we know that's been an issue. That road carries, 830 vehicles a day.
Yeah.
So we know that one's been an issue. So we're doing everything we can to try to be able to get traffic going again. And as Jay said, it helps during the construction. We don't have to run a detour during the construction.
Is that bridge 2 lane or 1 lane?
It's
24 feet.
It's dependent on where it's gonna have to be placed. Jay, you can speak that better than I can, but.
Well, it's 24 feet wide, so theoretically 2 cars can pass on it, but they're looking at where it has to be placed and the way the road's gonna come into it. They might approach it on a pretty sharp curve, so they might have to make it one way. If they make it one way, they'll put up a temporary traffic signal there to control traffic.
The new bridge is gonna go back in the existing alignment, so this thing is gonna go downstream. So it's gonna wind up with a curve going on and a curve coming off, and if they're just too tight for two-way traffic, we'll have to restrict it to one-way traffic.
Well, we're gonna try to make it 2 ways if we can make it work. Of course, we've got to deal with the downstream property owner too, work with him. But anyway, the temporary bridge, we're looking at summer of 2019 to be in place, so at that point, traffic will no longer be impacted. And for the new bridge, we're looking at fall of 2020 before the new bridge is actually completed and we take up the temporary bridge. So that's all of the road closures we have.
We've been getting so many inquiries, and we've been kind of dealing with people one-on-one. And generally, as we talk to people, they've understood and we're understanding. But, a lot of people have, rather than talk to us, or talk to you first, they've taken the rare going to some elected officials, delegates and senators, and they've asked for additional funding. I just need everybody to understand, funding is not an issue. VDOT has the money, because this has become a statewide issue. So it's not a funding issue. None of these things being held up for lack of funding. It's all about how much time it takes to do the legwork and get everything designed and in place, and contract. A lot of these, if you notice, the same contractor names came up. There's a limited pool of people that we have to pull from. We'll put the bids there, but nobody's going to travel but X amount of miles to do this work. So we're using the same contractors on multiple projects. But we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have, if we can. If we can't, we'll get them.
I got a question. Jay, has your bridge engineer looked at that bridge on that Sunset Road I was telling you about? One of those storms bent the guardrails over where it come over the bridge, and I noticed when I come out a little while ago, they straightened it back up, but I don't know if they ought to check that undermine. That's that one we talked about. It's only a lane and a half bridge anyway.
Yeah.
But I've had some people over there call me that was concerned that it undermined it because there was water going over the bridge to the point it actually bent the guardrails.
I can tell you during the initial 2 storms we had, every structure we had got there.
Okay, so
Those
have
people
checked.
did a tremendous job of getting there. They worked long hours, and they checked every structure we had that was impacted in those 2 initial storms. But we've had multiple storms, so it could very well be that maybe we missed one. So we'll check on
I'll
it.
check on it.
Just check it when you go check it back.
That one doesn't have a posted weight limit, does it?
I'm not sure. Like I said, it's a lane and a half bridge anyway. That's one that needs to be replaced at some point in time. I just thought if it has undermined them, it'd be a good time to do it. And also, are they gonna go out in the spring and rework the ditches, some of these ditches on side roads? I noticed a lot of them is filled in.
A lot of them
Several
are
places,
fine.
water's coming across the road where they filled in. So they'll be doing that maintenance this year.
Just to give
Got
you.
plenty of miles up to do.
To give you the honest answer, Mr. Barber, we would love to be able to do all the ditches, but as you said, a lot of our ditches were impacted. You'd also mentioned this earlier for potholes. We have more potholes than we've had in recent memory, and we haven't gotten into our pothole season. That pothole season doesn't come until March, April. We'll have to be mowing in May. So I'd love to tell you absolutely yes. Realistically, we'll do the best we can. But, you know, we got to address the pavement issues as well. And then, you know, we still have to cut the grass in May.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I'd just like to say thank you to VDOT. I work in my area with the Mount Airy State Shed and the Gretna State Shed. And I'm sure I'm like everyone else. I know a lot of these roads, I look at it as Mr. Davis's district. I know we had part of that one storm. But we've had numerous storms. We've had trees down. I've had citizens call me up in the middle of the night about trees down, power lines over roads, which, and we work with the utility provider. But I can truly say that the people that I have been in touch with, including you, Mr. Craddock, have been nothing but cooperative. And those people have been out at night. A lot of it was safety issues, I mean, that had to be addressed. I know one night we had a lot of trees down, and they started all the way down there around Cedar Forest, working back. In the district that I represent, Cedar Forest is on the far northwest of the county. And when I called, I had citizens calling me. They had already begun to cut trees out of the road, starting Cedar Forest, working back through the northern corner. And I've just been amazed at you hear all these jokes about state employees. I'm telling you, our local guys were nothing but chainsaws and slinging trees and pushing ice, and I truly want to say thank you to the VDOT employees at this, especially the state sheds in my area.
Well, thank you for saying that, and I'll just add to that you know, we've pretty much had back-to-back storms starting in last
Yes.
summer, and it's really hard to differentiate between the storms because they were back-to-back. And our folks have done a tremendous job. And I would also like to say some things that y'all probably don't know about. Lynchburg District is 10 counties. We had employees from almost every one of those counties in this area, generally in Kentucky. I just can't tell you how much support we got. And then we have what's called tiger teams of people that came from Culpeper. And they rolled in here ready to go to work. And they helped get the roads back open. So I don't generally brag on our folks, but our folks have done a tremendous job. So I appreciate you acknowledging that. Thank you.
It's been nothing short of amazing to me what y'all been able to accomplish. With the back-to-back storms, and I think everybody in this room is aware of, we've had the wettest year on record. And I know just from farming, I've got a dam down that's washed out. And that's my little problem. But y'all got problems that every time you try to get a handle on it, another storm pops up.
Some of these structures in the Kentucky area have washed out as many as 3 times. I don't think it had been more than 3, have you got, Jay? As many as 3 times for the same structures.
In the early part of winter, we already had 16 inches of snow on the ground in early December, and an ice storm this past weekend. It's
Yes, sir.
scary.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Got a quick concern. I know you guys, the priority is getting the roads completed, but I could have residents call about some erosion that's coming specifically from drainage off of the road systems, where there's a pipe that's spewing out and eroding a lot of their property. So I guess my question is there any way that we can help them out? Is there any funding at the state level? This is also for the staff as well, because some of our properties had some substantial erosion done, and it's coming specifically off of the road systems, in the drainage off the road systems. So I don't know if there's some way even to get engineering support to maybe help these people out, because I've told some not to do anything until they get an engineer to look at this and make sure they're doing it the right way. So I don't know if you would have the ability or the funding for those sort of things. If not, is there someone we should be contacting at the state level for that sort of thing?
I'll feel this with Jay. You help me out on this, but the short answer is probably not. You know, yes, it came off the roadway system, but it also went into the roadway system. It's looked at as an act of God, and you know, nobody's seen these kind of rains in my lifetime. So I think the short answer is probably not. I know Jay, I will speak for him, but I know he makes himself available a lot to go and look at things and try to be as helpful as he possibly can with any constraints that we have. But as far as financial help, it's going to really be tough. I've been hearing it for 42 years, that our water does things, but if somebody else's before it came on to us, it went off. So it's looked at as an act of God.
Okay. Well, I just wonder, do you think the state would address that if we start talking to our legislators? I hate to go back to these people. So this one property had substantial erosion, and again, he's tried to fix it repeatedly on his own, and unless he gets some engineer support, I don't think he's going to get it done right.
Well, I'm certainly not an expert on that part. But it was a declared emergency, which opens things up for FEMA. So I don't know the answer.
But I'd be glad to, and I'm scheduled to meet with somebody, teacher at Thompson High School, Thursday afternoon. I don't know if it's the same one you're talking about.
Well, I can give you their names.
Okay. Well, I'd be glad to meet with the folks and make suggestions, but, and we have to look at each situation on a case by case, but most of the time, it's not a whole lot we can do.
Yeah, I hate to go back and tell them that, but I mean, there should be at least a way, maybe if an engineer even could go out and say, you know, this is something, I would do it this way, because I know this one guy spent thousands and thousands of dollars already, and it didn't do any good, so I just want to make sure.
I can do that, but most of the time, the fix, more than them want to.
Well, I know.
But I'd be glad to meet with them and tell them what needs to be done.
Well, I will pass this on to you then. At least, I think I've contacted you on those. Just double check with them and see if there's something that can be done to help them. I know that, like I said, one property on Parker Road is terrible. And it's all coming from one pipe, you know, off the road system.
Any further discussion? I just have one comment or two comments to make, Jay, and the young man with you. I do appreciate what you've been doing, and for the last 3 years dealing with VDOT. However,
you, young man, made a statement that I'll never forget.
Okay.
VDOT.
I probably already forgot it.
First time I've heard VDOT that has said, not a problem with money. How about that, Jay? How about that, Jay? Every time I've heard Jay, it's always been a problem with money, but now you're saying it, and I appreciate that. Hey, I'm just glad to hear it.
And I'll tell you what happened. Nowhere in the state got hit like we did.
Yeah, I know.
Nowhere in the state got hit.
Especially in my district.
So we're somewhere, and honestly, we don't have a firm grip on how much damage we had, but somewhere in Pittsylvania County, somewhere, say 16 million.
30 in the district.
30 in the district. About 16 million in Pittsylvania County. Don't hold me to that number, because we got to get bids on some of these jobs. So that best estimate. My boss went to his boss and said, that's more than the money we had for our entire year. And so we've gotten the support from the commissioner down. Do what we have to do to get the roads open now. Does it have an impact on us? Yes, but it's going to be absorbed statewide. and it's gonna be absorbed over a 2-year period.
Yes, sir, I like the way you recovered on that, because you didn't want to throw all your hand out there, but I already saw your cards. But look, I agree, I appreciate what you guys are doing, definitely, I agree with Mr. Blackstock. And then the other thing is this, is I've always been one of them that you hope for the best, but you plan for the worst. I've always been like that. So my question is, and I know you're widening, you're building bigger objects to accommodate the water, but in my opinion, I think that this is going to be a mainstay with our water situation. Don't ask me why. I just have a feeling that, and so my question is what about posterity and the future of these bridges being in place when we start having water, and maybe even more this year or next year? So my question is, are we engineered to accommodate, larger volume of water?
Well, it depends on the roadway, whether it's a primary roadway. Say 58 and 29, we're going to design those for a 100-year storm, which is this last storm we got was a 100-year storm. I hadn't heard anybody, give an exact figure on that, but I feel like it was probably a 100-year storm. The secondary roads, we're going to design them for a 10-year storm. So we can't say for sure if we get another rainfall like this one that they won't overtop again. But theoretically, we shouldn't get another one like that in our lifetime.
Okay, thank you. Theoretically, I do, but that's theoretically, and I agree with Mr. Blackstock who said that we had a lot of rain last year, and I'm just a little worried because whatever the reasons are, and I have my own opinion on this, is that are we accommodating for the future? And I I know that you are. I was just wondering if
The very best we can.
Yes, sir.
The very best we can.
Well, I want to thank you. If no one else has anything to say, I want to thank you guys for a job well done. Keep up the good work, and I still appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, number 6 on our agenda is staff committee and/or constitutional officer reports. Introduction of Economic Development Project Manager, Mr. Matthew Rugg.
Good afternoon, board members, public. At this time, I'd like to introduce our newest member to the team, Ms. Susan McCulloch. Susan comes to us from the city of Martinsville, where she was the community planner. And before Susan comes up and addresses the body, obviously, I do want to thank the board as far as for the opportunity to get assistance. I mean, for the period that I've had this job now for 3 years, I've been doing it alone and working with all the resources here with Greg, David, and the rest of the team for 2 of those years. And of course, we had Ashley Wolf, who was the project manager, did an excellent job and has since moved on and is working with Jones Lang LaSalle. And so I do thank you as far as for that continued commitment. And as you know, we have been fortunate as far as being able to have some modest success as far as for the area. Last year had a little over 300 jobs, and we filled over 10 vacant buildings in the area. And so with that now comes as far as the need to make sure that we're monitoring those projects, making sure the folks are doing what they committed to do, and also to make sure that we're doing our part. Obviously, no funds are being provided to any company up front as based on performance agreements. But since Susan has been with us, it really has just, I think, allowed us already to continue to ramp up our efforts by freeing up available resources and time. And so I'm very optimistic about 2019. And I can tell you, as far as all the confidence in the world, we've made a very strong and wise decision, in my personal opinion, in bringing Susan to an already pretty strong Pittsylvania County team. So without further ado, I'd ask that Susan please come up and address the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe, and thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I'm used to addressing council, sorry. I'm really excited to join the team, and I'm honored to be a part of it. I've been watching Pittsylvania County for years now, so it's just really great to be part of such a group of strong workers and just wonderful people. So thank you for the wonderful welcome, and I look forward to trying to keep up with Matt. Thank you. Good.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome aboard. Is there any, there's no discussion on this one?
Good. Number B, under number 6, introduction of Department of Social Services Director, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, sir. I am definitely not the person responsible for hiring this gentleman. I was asked and was thankful to be involved with the interview process. Mr. Spain is the new Department of Social Services Director. I think he started first work day of January.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Spain has been a director before at a couple locations, but I'll let him introduce himself to the board, and I look forward to working with him.
Thank you, Mr. Smitherman, board members, chair. Just appreciate the opportunity to take some of your time tonight just to say hello, introduce myself, and just let you know that I am settling in quickly and hopefully for a long tenure at Social Services. I've really enjoyed the last couple of weeks that I've really spent a lot of time getting to know staff, citizens, and really looking at the operations of the agency in ways that we could be more efficient and more effective in what we do. As Mr. Smitherman said, I've been a local director before, quite frankly, a problematic agency, and so I'm certainly, I'm not seeing the issues that I've seen in the past. I'm seeing an agency that has strong heart, strong backbone to move forward and to serve citizens better and better as we move forward. So I really am happy and pleased very much so to be here in Pittsylvania County. Some of you may know that I was a deputy about 20 plus years ago in the county, so it's really nostalgic. Some days to ride, I was in a meeting in Lawrenceville and coming back through 57 and just remembering some calls that I responded to along the way back to home here at Social Services here. Live right around the corner, love Pittsylvania County, and just so blessed and honored to be in this role. I have an open door, and my job is not only to lead the agency internally, but to be a community leader and to work with our partners. And so I'm very much committed to that, and our partners being citizens, faith-based community, as well as professionals, constitutional officers and the like. So thank you very much. If you have any questions for me, I'm always available and happy to answer. Do anything I can for the community. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr. Spain. I appreciate your input because we do have a dynamic team, I do believe, in place. As you can tell by the wall and by our signs coming into our county, I do believe that our county is in the running to win the Super Bowl. And I'm expecting and I'm hoping that you're going to be able to help us win that. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Business meeting discussion items. Are there any other business items? Or business discussion items to be added there, Mr. Barber?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I asked the county attorney to discuss the strategic plan next month.
It's on tonight's consent agenda, and Mr. Barber had some questions, so I said this would be the format to discuss it. He also has the ability, if he so chooses, to pull it off the consent agenda tonight to have it voted on and discussed separately if he so desires. But you can bring your questions and have discussion about it.
Yes, sir. Basically, I asked Mr. Hunt earlier in the week. I hadn't seen the final draft, and I just got the copy of the final draft. And as I was looking at it, there's some funding mechanisms in here. Personally, my preference, I'd rather table this till after the budget is established and see where we're at before we obligate ourselves or future board of financial obligations. But that's just me personally. But I noticed there was a couple of things in here that actually require funding. Most of the things I don't have any problem with, but that would be my preference. And I would like to vote on it separately, but not if we're good. I'll bring it up at the meeting.
Okay, do we need to put that in the motion, staff?
Well, you can follow up to Mr. Barber and discuss it right now, and then tonight, when you go to approve the agenda, he can make a motion to
you want to discuss it now, Mr. Barber?
Take off the consent agenda and put it on new business.
Well, that was basically my discussion.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion at the meeting table after the budget is established.
Okay, so you don't want to discuss it
We
now?
don't make a motion here.
You don't make a motion?
Yeah, I'll just, that's basically, I just didn't
Okay.
blindside everybody with it.
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I concur with Mr. Barber. We just saw this final document at the beginning of the meeting, and I think something is important for the strategic plan we need to take time to look over this, and any funding, there may be some funding issues here,
Yes,
but there's
sir.
no need to rush this through on the consent agenda. I would like to see it tabled until after the budget season, and then the board revisit it.
I agree with you because I thought it was just a discussion item, so I didn't really think there was going to be any action anyway, but that's fine with me. Anybody else have anything they would like to say? Do we need a consensus at it, Vaden?
No, just tonight at the business meeting, when you go to approve the agenda, just someone make a motion to approve the agenda with this item pulled off consent agenda and placed on new business, and then during new business, the board can either approve it, or they can approve Mr. Barber's desire to table it till after the budget is adopted.
Okay.
It'll be up to the board to vote on that at tonight's meeting.
Okay, moving along. Closed session. Mr. Vaden Hunt will read.
Yes. Tonight we have this afternoon we have two closed sessions, 8A and 8B. 8A, discussion concerning prospective business or industry or the expansion of an existing business or industry where no previous announcement has been made of the businesses or industries interested in locating or expanding its facilities in the community. Staff contact Matthew D. Rowe. Legal authority, Virginia Code, Section 2.23711A5. Subject matter, Project PE. Purpose, economic development update on unannounced prospective industry. 8B, consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel. Staff contact J. Vaden Hunt. Legal authority, Virginia Code, Section 2.23711A8. Subject matter, Department of Social Services. Purpose, consultation retained outside legal counsel regarding DSS HR issues. Do I have a motion for these?
So moved.
If you have used your motion.
Do we have a second?
Please cast your vote. All votes have been cast, and I'll close the vote.
Unanimous? Okay. Move into closed session.
All right, we entered back into open session at 6:46 p.m. I will now certify the closed session. Be it resolved that the meeting of the Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors on January 15, 2019, the board hereby certifies by recorded vote that the best of each board member's requirements or knowledge on the public business matters lawfully exempt from the open requirements of Virginia FOIA were heard. If someone believes that they went into closed session for the improper reason, please so state to be entered into the minute. I will now take a roll call. Mr. Barber?
Yes.
Mr. Blackstock?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Farmer?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Scares?
Yes.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.